Okay, so these are the round steaks, which is the back side of the back leg. So there are 3 pieces to this. This would be the inside of the back leg. This is the top round. The bottom round runs up the outside of the back leg, so this is always going to come off as one big piece. Use a straight knife to come in from the inside. There are some pretty clear seams that you can just sort of, as you open it up, they present themselves and become very prevalent. This is the seam that I'm always kind of shooting for here. So here's the top round, this is the eye of round in the middle, there's the bottom round. Once I get this far, I separate the top round off, set the bottom of the eye aside, and then I start to clean the top round. The dirty side is down, so I'm going to start and keep it that way and remove what I can from this inside piece. Try to clean it up. Remove this little piece of silver skin here. And then, before I flip it to clean the other side, because this side is dirty with hair and there's all kinds of stuff that comes in here. They come in from the forest and people who don't necessarily know how to keep them very clean, so I don't want to flip my clean piece into whatever's attached to this side. So then I refer to this piece as the flap. There is a thin piece that covers this whole piece here. So to find the edge of that, and then as you pull, you'll start to see with the crease between the 2 pieces. This flap is removed. Set this aside. There are 2 pieces to this flap. The thicker side, which I removed directly, and then come in and take that off for burger. Big piece of fat and usually some exposure at this other end. Take that off for burger. This gets discarded. This thin piece here, I can go around the edge and I will make a cut around the edges, and that way when I come through to skim this off, when I get there, it's already separated from the edge. Always cutting away from my hand. And so this doesn't seem like a lot of meat, but we try to take the time and effort to get what there is salvageable and usable, and try to be as efficient with not being wasteful as possible. Then when I get to the top round, so this is a deer. There are actually 2 components. You've got the top round here and you've got this seam. We call this piece the butt tenderloin. On a deer, because of the size, we do not separate this piece. On an elk, we do separate the piece and clean it, and they are wrapped and staked individually. But for this deer, it would be too small if we took it off, so we leave it on there. Very thinly cut off the contaminated surfaces. Same thing as all the other pieces. If you slice it off and you got a little more than you wanted, you can lay the dirty piece flat and then get a little bit of the extra meat. This is a little dried out here, so I'll take this off. Little tiny discoloring there. If you get a piece of discolored meat that's in a divot and you can't get your knife, you can stick your hand under and arch that piece up, so then you can take off a small piece if it's dirty. And then this is the finished top round with the butt tenderloin still attached. She'll make steaks this way, and these are also very nice cuts of meat. Top round. Okay, this is the bottom round as it is still connected to the eye round, and we have already separated the top round off this piece. So the next phase to cleaning this bottom round is to separate the eye, and there's a pretty good little seam right here that you can follow to get it off. Eye of round is a slightly tougher piece, So we take it off, and really we're just going to clean off the fat and the big pieces of sinew and put it in the burger bucket. Nice long straight cut along the edge. And then, like all the other pieces, when you take off what you're trying to get rid of, if you take off a little too much, you can lay it flat and fillet off the extra little bit that you missed. And it's that simple on that piece. Just cut off the ugly stuff and put it in the burger bucket. You are then left with the bottom round. There are two big tendons that run down each side of this. One on the outside that's very visible, one that you can see the end of here but then gets covered in meat. So the first thing I do is, while it's got the dirty side down, so I'm trying to just keep it that way. I'm skinning off as thinly as possible this fatty membrane type material here. Trying to make all the steaks look clean and very presentable to the customer. The fat that's on a deer and an elk is different than a domestic animal, and it's waxy, it doesn't feel nice in your mouth, and it doesn't taste very good, so that's why we're going to the great lengths to get rid of it. So the first thing I'll do, refer to this little piece here as the wedge. There is a tendon here that you need to, with your knife, scrape down the edge of the tendon, remove the wedge. Once that's removed, it's very easy to take your knife, skim the good meat off, leaving the crusty dry part on the table. Burger bucket, garbage can. Then what I want to do is remove these two big tendons. So I want to make a nice big long slice, base to tip on my knife, so it draws the entire length of the blade through any one contact point. This piece can come off in 1 or 2 or 3 slices. Same thing. If I got a little more meat on there that is usable, instead of throwing that directly in the trash, I can slide along the tendon. And over the course of doing the entire animal, all these little pieces add up and turn into several extra pounds of hamburger for the customer. So that's why we take the time to do it. This other tendon now, you can see it. See it there once I've taken off the wedge and made burger out of that. I do the same thing on this side. Nice smooth base to tip cut. Tendons removed. Any little excess very quickly comes off and can be utilized. Pick up this little piece of silver skin. That can just go to the burger bucket. Now, I've got a nice rectangular clean piece. The other side is still dirty. So before I flip it, the counter has to be wiped, so whatever contaminants here are not going to end up here. And this piece is just a long, there's no tendon here, so it's just really separating the dry piece from the rest of the meat. I want to get a nice clean edge on one side, open the end up, and then I can come back angling my blade up just a little bit. Not so much that you cut through, but just that you skim just under the surface of what you're trying to get rid of. And then this is the bottom round. Clean. Sometimes this is burger, sometimes it's going to be a roast. It won't matter what it's going to be, it's going to get cleaned the same way, and there it is. This piece can be, just like all the other pieces, if you get a little extra that you didn't want to cut off, you can put your dirty flat piece down and take off what's left. And that's ready for the garbage.